Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us for the Friends of the Farm lecture series, where each session is designed to deliver a small and in-depth dose of cannabis education. My name is Candace Hawes, and I want to thank all of our viewers and our customers from the pharmacy, the pottery, natural healing centers, as well as all of our friends joining us from across the world. I'm very excited for our topic today. We're going to talk about cannabis and creativity, and we have a really special guest speaker for you guys today. When I work at the floor of the dispensary, I often get asked, what strains, what products are good for creativity? How can I incorporate cannabis into creativity? So I'm really excited to talk about this today. As you guys may know, cannabis has been associated for many, many years with creativity and artistic expression. Many famous writers, musicians, and artists have credited cannabis to the inspiration for their work. Cannabis can produce an altered state of consciousness, which can be conducive to creative thinking. Cannabis can lower inhibitions, reduce anxiety, and increase openness to new experiences, making it easier to explore new ideas and perspectives. Cannabis can also enhance sensory perception, making colors brighter, sounds richer, and tastes more intense. This can help artists and musicians to tap into their senses and create vivid and expressive works and induce a state of flow. Our guest speaker today is Lisa Snyder, who's going to talk about how you can use cannabis to explore your creativity, as well as different forms you can use to explore solo or with a group of your best buds. Lisa is the co-founder of Toketivity, the global feminist community for active cannabis culture, and also is the founder of LI Digital. After losing both parents to cancer in her 20s, Lisa turned her attention to the women's liberation through cannabis normalization with a feminist twist and launched Toketivity in January 2017. She's a feminist, a business advisor, a digital artist, and a plant medicine advocate with over 25 years of digital strategy experience. She passionately supports the self-healing revolution through consumption, plant medicine, advocacy, and digital liberation. She's been recognized for her work in Forbes, Rolling Stone, Condé Nast Traveler, and Yahoo Finance, just to name a few. Thank you so much for being with us today, Lisa.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with all of you and to talk about cannabis and creativity. And thank you so much for the invitation. It is such an honor.
Yeah, definitely. I've watched your guys' work that you've done, the events that you guys have led for many years. So I was really excited to meet you in person and for us to develop this concept together. I can't wait to see what you have for us today.
Thank you. I'm super stoked. And thanks everybody who is joining us live. And if you're watching this later, hello to you. So let's talk about exploring cannabis and creativity. Candace was kind enough to go through a couple of the things that I've done in the past, just to kind of give you a little window into what's brought me here and the things that I've done. Some of the things I did not that I didn't previously have in my bio. I wanted to mention that I recently was an artist on an NFT collection, which was really exciting. It's kind of like this digital experience that we're all kind of in. Everyone was throwing around the word NFTs for a while, and I kind of threw my hat into the ring to kind of figure that out. And one of the things I really love about this life is our ability to be creative beings, and it's something of it's how I live my life personally and professionally. And I encourage anybody who wants to explore this to really kind of get comfortable as we dig in here a little bit and talk about cannabis and creativity. So let's dig in. If you don't know about Toketivity, just a little bit about us. We are a global community of plant medicine advocates that is rooted in feminism. And we work as a collective to modernize consumption culture through interactive experiences. We have hosted over 350 consumption events across the globe since 2017. I just recently came back from Austin, Texas, which there's a whole consumption culture there. Who even knew? I didn't know. Being here in Oregon, I know you're down there in California, and everybody's in different parts of the world right now. I'm super curious, if you are watching, what kind of legality do you have in your state or country? Is it medical? Is it adult use? Is it the illicit market, if you will, legacy market, we sometimes call it? Let us know. because just curious about where you all are, what kind of experiences you have access to. So I want to start with saying, that we are all born with the ability to create. From a very young age, children are naturally engaged in creative activities like drawing, storytelling, and imaginative play. And at some point in time in our adult lives, we kind of like put that aside. We think it's childish. We think it's like something that we don't do. A lot of people don't think they're creative. And the truth is that we are all creative. We were born creative. And what we'll talk about what the definition of creativity is in a moment, but I think it's really important to know that creativity isn't just one thing. It isn't just you're really, really good at drawing or you're really, really good at design. You could be really good at problem solving, and that is something that is, creative. And it's just like all, it's just something that it's not just one thing, as I had mentioned. So one thing to know about this life is that we think in pictures. And so if you actually close your eyes for a moment and think about a memory, any happy memory, any creative memory, any kind of thing that makes you smile, a dog, a family member, a loved one, a friend, a funny moment, what you're thinking about right now is images. You're thinking about walking through doorways and hugging people, and it all comes from the mind first and foremost. And so that's really a big part of creativity, is really everything that was ever created started with a thought. Once upon a time, someone was like, I really would love to sit in a big cushy chair, and came up with the idea of making that. Someone made that. And everything if you look around your home or office or wherever you are, everything that we are looking at, someone decided in their heads they wanted to make that happen, and then they made it happen. So it's such a beautiful thing in this life to be able to think of something in your head and kind of like make something happen in the physical and bring into the physical. So I'm kind of curious, Candace, since you're here and you're hanging out with me, is there something that you kind of have come up with in your head and kind of put out there into the world, into the physical?
Oh gosh. I mean, not really the physical, but I would say I have a lot of ideas for events, like things that people need to experience, and I can like visualize like what needs to happen, who needs to be there, like where it needs to be for people to have like a final kind of experience. So I think that's like my creativity is more like in that realm.
Well, this is just even coming together to make this happen. It's like you had this idea of like, hey, Lisa, do you want to do something with me? And, we kind of collaborated on that. And what's really cool is that you can make things that are bigger than yourself when you collaborate with other people.
Yes.
And make something new together, which is part of the fun and exciting part of life.
Yeah. And cannabis brought us all together.
It did. And here we are. So what is actually creativity? Well, let's talk about it. So creativity is really the ability to generate ideas and solutions or products. And it really involves combining existing knowledge and skills in kind of a new and original way. It's really not, like I said, limited to artistic expression. And it really does play an important role in many places, like such as science and engineering and business. So creativity comes from all places. It really also does include and involve divergent thinking, which is generating many possible solutions, and also convergent thinking, which is evaluating and selecting the best solution. And so what are some types of creative expression? So I pulled out a handful. This is just one of 2 slides, and there's many other options. This is really unlimited. So if we think about creative expression, visual arts, what do we think about? We think about painting, we think about drawing, sculpture, photography, printmaking, and digital art. Performing arts. I actually didn't think about this when I was initially putting this together. And then as I was brainstorming, I was like, hello.
Yeah.
Music is such an important part. And I'm not going to be talking about the history of cannabis and creativity today, but there is a huge history and a really, really deep web with musicians and cannabis, throughout time.
Yep.
Is there anything you wanted to add there, Candace, about that?
No, I would just definitely agree with you, back to the jazz era, and the musicians that were the ones that were, consuming a lot of cannabis. Cannabis and creativity has always been connected.
Totally. And it's really important for us to really understand that history, because it was actually a part of the beginning of the prohibition of cannabis. It was because, and not mainly because, but it really weaved in some of that history, and maybe that's like a whole nother topic we could talk about. So yeah, music, dance, theater, film, creative writing. My wife is a creative writer, and she's definitely a daily toker, and she does find it to be super helpful, cannabis to be super helpful with kind of releasing some of the, pent up energy that we all kind of have when we want to try to relax. And so creative writing can be like poetry, fiction, nonfiction, and screenwriting, anything relating to those things. I love crafts, and that's actually one of the ways that Tokeativity was born, was by vision boarding and getting stoned with friends. And I'll share some of my vision boards later with you in this presentation. But woodworking is a great example. Pottery, jewelry making, knitting, sewing, collage, which is also vision boarding too, and beading. Design, graphic design, interior design, fashion design, and industrial design. And if you are an artist, or you are a crafter, or you are a writer, so you somebody like that already feels like you can tap into your creativity, let us know in the comments if you're watching live. Like, what are you really into right now, or what have you been into and you're trying to get back into? I'm super curious about that. Culinary arts like cooking and baking, mixology. This is really tough for me to get stoned and try to cook. That's just like not.
I put that in the recipe yet, or?
There's this amazing woman on Instagram. I think it's Dope Kitchen. I don't know if anybody watches her on Instagram, but she's hilarious, and she gets stoned and cooks, and it's so funny.
Love
it. Architecture, we talked about that earlier, but designing buildings and spaces. I mean, like, cannabis can really be so expansive in so many different ways, and not everybody can do certain things. Like I do coding, but I can't be stoned and code at the same time. That's just me. But I can make art, and be stoned. It really just depends on what it is.
Yeah.
Creating products, services, and technologies. I'm sure all of you out there have had a really amazing stoned idea. And in fact, again, that's where Tokeativity came from, is getting stoned with friends and coming up with the name, and realizing in Google there was literally nothing there. And I was like, I'm a super web nerd, so I just grabbed the domain and the social media, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I'm going to figure it out. So you never know.
That's really cool.
Improv, which is really fun, spontaneous and creative responses to situations, comedy and jazz. I don't know if any of you out there have taken an improv class, but it is so fun. And that could also be a thing where it can go either way. If you're stoned, you can really enjoy yourself, or it could be kind of like anxiety provoking, because you, when you're learning something new, it really depends on how you learn, and if you're with other people, that's another thing too, to kind of ponder. And problem solving, we talked about that a little bit, but really finding creative solutions to complex problems in various fields. Like, cannabis can really be a mind opener and can unlock a lot of different pathways in your mind. I also added here, creating your own reality. That is being creative and deciding how you want your world to be, Are there parts in your life, Candace, that you have manifested and created into your own reality?
Oh man, I mean, I actually do a lot. I would say I've done graphic design like you have in the past. So that's the way that I've manifested things into reality, I would say. But this whole list that you like listed, I think all of these things are made better with cannabis. Like all of those things seem like fun things, and I can just like imagine myself just relaxed and just like getting into like something like beading or some kind of craft. Yeah, this is wonderful.
I'll never forget one of I want to say our second Toketivity social in March 2017. We had beading as the craft. We always have a craft table at Toketivity, and at least at our socials. And so women actually brought their own beads. We had beads for them, but they brought their own because they were so excited to like craft with other people. And Vincent says, beading is my craft. That's what's up. I'm super curious. Do you like to make bracelets or necklaces, or what do you like to make? William also says, I design formulas based on science and creativity as far as cannabis therapeutics go, and loves getting creative with cannabinoids. Love hearing that.
And Vincent does make some beautiful jewelry, some beautiful cannabis jewelry.
Vincent?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, have you seen their work?
Yeah, Vincent, yes. Yeah, she donates it to Normal.
I would love to see. Send us a link.
Even better. Get to be creative and get your something, and you can also donate it to a nonprofit and help raise money.
That is awesome. So really the possibilities are endless, and really, and individuals can find creative outlets that best suit, their needs and interests and skills and preferences. And again, there's no right or wrong when it comes to making stuff for yourself. Of course, if you're trying to make things for a client or something like that, that's really up to you what you're comfortable with and what your zone is at. But we're just talking about getting creative for yourself and tapping in there. And then where that kind of leads you is really up to you. So speaking of tapping into your creative energy, I wanted to share a little bit about Abraham Hicks, because this is actually like a spiritual teacher that I really, really look up to, and have been following her for many, many years. And so if you don't know Abraham Hicks, actually, Candace, do you know Abraham Hicks?
I've never heard of her. Yeah, this is great.
So Abraham Hicks, her name is actually Esther Hicks, but the spiritual entity that speaks through her's name is Abraham. And so she goes by Abraham Hicks when she's kind of delivering the messages of Abraham. And it's not any one religion. It's not like Christianity or Judaism or anything like that. It's just like spirits from the other side speaking through her. And I feel called to that kind of messaging personally. So I wanted to share just some of the messages around creativity specifically that I've really kind of got tapped into. So, she's known for teaching about the law of attraction. You may have, like 20 years ago, there was a movie called The Secret that was very loosely based on her and her teachings.
Oh, wow.
Do you remember that film?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very popular. Yeah.
It was inspired by her teachings.
That's cool.
Individuals can really manifest their dreams and create their reality through their thoughts and emotions. And so remember earlier I was talking about how everything is created from the mind first and then outward, and so through your thoughts and your emotions, you can really tap into your own creativity by getting more comfortable with listening to your thoughts and to your feelings, and knowing that they're not who you are, they're just things that you're experiencing. She emphasizes the importance of being in alignment with one's inner being or higher self to tap into your creative flow. And also she encourages individuals to really follow their joy and inspiration. And when a person is in a state of alignment with their inner being, they're more likely to receive intuitive nudges and inspirations that lead to creative expression. And she also teaches that limiting beliefs and negative thoughts can really block the creative flow. So, and she's back.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
So really just the energy of Abraham Hicks is really focusing on positive thoughts and emotions and releasing resistance and trusting the creative process. And I encourage everybody to check out Abraham Hicks. It's she's got a ton of books, or if you're an audiobook person like I am, There's a ton of audiobooks out there, and this has really been a daily inspiration. She also has an email that comes out every day with like a little quote, and it's just such a nice boost for the morning. So
That's cool. I'm going to definitely check that out because that sounds really interesting.
it's changed my life. So
Awesome.
yeah. So we've been talking about cannabis a little bit, but really, again, I'm not a scientist, so I don't really know all the ins and outs of this, and you should really look to the other, the Friends of the Farm lecture series for some of the other folks who are talking more in depth about terpenes and the cannabis science and whatnot. So, everyone's body is different, but in general, like when you're looking for cannabis in order to sort of tap into more of your creative expansion, you want to look for strains that have some of the following effects or descriptions. That includes energizing, uplifting, and increased creativity. If that has on the description, of course, you want to tap into that. Mind expanding and sharper focus. And many folks will say that sativas will give you these effects. I know that the label of sativa is what a lot of shops have. And I don't know if you know this, but like sativa and indica is really a derivative of how the plant was grown, not necessarily, do you want to speak more about that maybe, perhaps?
Yeah, no, I would totally agree. Now that we've done so much crossbreeding, that there's really no, distinct indica sativa hybrid, depending on like the terpene content of the plant is really how you could tell what kind of effects you're going to get. And you're completely right. Nowadays, indica sativa hybrid really kind of tells you like how the plant's going to grow. Is it going to be like a sativa, like really tall and thin and spread out for like hot climates, or is it going to take it'll have a different growing period, or is it going to be like an indica and be like short and like squatty, so I would definitely agree with you and say that indica sativa hybrid is more indicative of how it grows and not really the effect that it's going to give you.
Indicative. I said derivative, but I meant indicative.
Yeah.
You all know what I meant. Yeah. So I'm kind of curious, if you are watching live or if you're watching this later, think about this. What kinds of activities do you like to do stoned? I didn't mention like walking or running or anything like that, because it's not necessarily creative, although it can kind of juice you up a little bit and kind of expand your mind a little bit. Thanks, Chef. Says awesome information. Appreciate that. So I'm curious if you have thought about any activities that you really, really love to do stoned, or if there's activities you've been curious about trying, but kind of maybe feeling a little bit intimidated by. I want to say that everybody can be an artist. You don't have to be classically trained. You don't have to have done it for hours and hours before. Anybody can put a pen to a piece of paper and draw. Anybody can write creatively. And it's just the more practice you do in regards to whatever it is that you're playing around with, the more comfortable you'll get, and the more you'll want to experiment with what it is that you're trying on. So we talked a little bit about terpenes, and the one I'm specifically going to be talking about is limonene. And limonene, if you don't know, it's a terpene that's recognizable for its zesty citrus fragrance, primarily in lemon, but also in, it happens to be in orange, lime, and also in grapefruit. And here in Oregon, they let us smell the cannabis. They'll like open up a jar and they'll let us smell it. I know in other states and countries, they don't let you do that. So we are super privileged to be able to do that because, the nose knows what it wants, and in fact, I was a judge for Cultivation Classic here in Oregon for a few years, and there was a whole thing that we had to do before testing the cannabis, which is to smell it and to see how we felt beforehand and then see how we felt afterwards. But that was an eye-opener for me because I learned that when I smell something and I like it, I'm going to have a better experience than when I don't like it.
Yes.
And I would have never known that if I had not have done those experiments. Can you relate?
Oh, I would completely agree. I think we were buying products based off terpenes before we even really knew it. I remember the day when we used to be able to stick your head in like a big jar of cannabis and be like, okay, that one smells all right, but this one really calls to me. This one, smells like it's going to feel really good and it's going to taste really good. And you're driven to like certain kind of terpenes because when you smell that smell and you inhale that flower, you feel a certain way. So we were already, buying based off of terpenes. Like you said, the nose knows, even before we knew, our nose knew.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And I encourage everybody who's watching this now or later to, next time you buy flour specifically, give it a sniff.
Mm-hmm.
If your dispensary or your state allows you to smell it before buying it, smell it, test it, just sort of see how you feel after you smell it. Is it something that makes you feel excited? Does it make you feel good? Do you like it, or does it kind of smell bad to you?
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. The same exact flour, I tested more than one day. I tested one day and then like the next day I tested. And one day, the first day I did not like the smell. Same exact cannabis. The next day I did.
Interesting.
And yeah, I mean, because there's all kinds of things going on in our body, right? And so maybe one day we're tired and that smell of limonene kind of wakes us up and makes us feel better. And the next day, we're like zooped up and that doesn't maybe smell as good.
Yeah, is that more of like an indica, something a little bit more sedating than uplifting?
Yeah,
Our brain just knows.
exactly. So I was doing some digging around as I was prepping for this, and I found a really cool Leafly article that had a few studies in it I wanted to share with you. So, according to research, citrus smell appears to have notable influence on how we function. A Japanese study found that diffusing lemon and rosemary essential oils in the morning and orange and lavender ones in the evening helped Alzheimer's patients function slightly better. Really
Interesting.
interesting. Yeah. Here's another one. Entirely different study from Japan was carried out on the accuracy of typists. And strangely enough, it was found that lemon fragrances were shown to produce 54% less errors.
Wow. So interesting.
Yeah. One more stat here. In 2014, a study showed that smelling citrus for 10 minutes helped to boost the mood of participants for up to 30 minutes, significantly reducing things like tension, anxiety, and hostility. So, next time you are looking for something to lift you up, look for the words lemon
Yeah.
in the strain name. Also, I learned this recently. Again, I'm not a scientist here by any means, but the haze apparently usually has a lot of limonene in it. But of course, ask your bud tender which strains have the terpene limonene in them.
Nice.
So, cannabis can really help you let your creativity flow. And I'd like to take a minute here. You can also, if you're watching this, pause if you're watching it later, but take a minute here and just, if you have like a piece of paper and a pen, I know it's kind of OG style, or if you're more of a phone person or computer person, one of my favorite things to kind of tap into my creativity before I even do anything is to brain dump. And it really allows me to kind of just let everything kind of go somewhere else. We
Mm-hmm.
hold so much in our brains. We're trying to remember what we got to do later, what we said and promised we were going to do. A lot of task stuff we try to keep up here. Also, emotions get all bottled up too. So I want to encourage you to just take 1 minute right now and write down. I like to draw a little head, but of course you could just draw a circle or whatever. Write down everything that's in your brain right now, even if it doesn't make any sense, like words, a list, anything like that. I'm going to wait 1 minute and I'll meet you back here in 1 minute.
I should have come up with some creativity music that we could have had in the background for everything.
Wait, play music.
Okay. I will say though, I completely agree with you. I feel like sometimes when I need to do something, I need to dump everything out of my mind so I have room for creativity and thought. So this is so smart.
Yes. We'll just give 30 more seconds to anybody out there that wants to write some stuff down. And you don't even have to share this with anybody. This is just for you. And afterwards, I mean, you could do this for as long as you want. Obviously, we're on a webinar here, so we're going to keep this flow going. But afterwards, I kind of just like to take a deep breath. And now I've just channeled some of that pent-up energy just on a piece of paper, which I'm happy to revisit later, or maybe I just needed to get it all out before I kind of moved on to the next thing. And, brainstorming is just such a great way to get the flow going. And of course, smoking cannabis. So however you, I know we started this by encouraging you all to take a little toke, bong hit, start it, light a joint. This is a little lighter I made at the Austin Toketivity Social. We did a blinger lighter little craft table. So also the lighter fluid is purple, which is really cool. But I don't have any joints with me in this moment. They're all scattered about. But please feel free to light one and let us know what you're smoking on.
Yeah.
Empress, who's in Hawaii, and I was just there. She says, I express my creative energy by sharing health and wellness, cannabis advocacy, coaching, and education. Her website is We Cookin' with Cannabis 365. Nice. That is awesome. And she says she loves collage, content, fire, breadfruit. Oh, these are the things that you were brainstorming. Oh, thank you for sharing. Chem dog, walk, river, dreadnut, drink water. Interesting. Yeah, if you're feeling saucy and you want to share some of your brainstorm, feel free to do that. Okay, so moving on. We talked about the creative activities. I just wanted to revisit this list because I'd love for anybody who's here live or if you're watching later to just share in the comments what you like to do or what you're thinking you might like to do. And here's a really important part. Releasing perfectionism. This is the part I hear all the time, and I've heard all the time when people are at Toketivity, they say, I'm not an artist. And that is this huge blockage for actually being able to make anything, even if it's just literally putting little beads on a lighter, you know what I mean? They think that they're not creative. And so you really have to release perfectionism and also releasing judgment about yourself. This is just for you, and I encourage you to really start off, if you're trying something new specifically, to really just play and see how it feels. Candace, is there anything that you're thinking about doing that you have not done before?
Well, I mean, when you're saying all this, it makes me think of, painting. I've never really painted before. I've done one at one time. And, I was really surprised at what I was able to create. Because again, I was one of those people, I'm not creative. I can't paint. And then I was able to actually make something really cool. And so it brings me back to that. And it made me think it'd be really cool to try that again.
Yeah. And there's so many ways to paint, Michael's is amazing because there's so many inspiring aisles of all kinds of stuff. They always have a sale on canvases. They sell them in packs, and all those you can get packs of paint, and packs of paintbrushes. And it's really inexpensive to, experiment with something like that. Mm-hmm. There's also a ton of videos on YouTube and also on TikTok where they kind of teach you how to do stuff if you want to learn how to do things specifically. But I like to just make shapes. I really like to make shapes and dots and lines, and that's how I like to paint when I'm painting. And you know what I also like to do? I like to turn my canvas so that it's like I get a different perspective every time. And then when I hang it on the wall eventually, I get to change what direction it's going because there's not one direction.
I like that. That's really cool.
Yeah. Cindy says, joint has stink eye in it. I don't know what that means.
Maybe it means like concentrate down the middle or something. I don't know.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't know. William says smoking on La Bamba, orange haze, and sour space candy CBD. Nice. Empress says gardening is a creative activity. William is into the one-to-ones. I also love one-to-ones. I'm down for a one-to-one.
Yeah.
So, what are your favorite activities? Some of my favorite activities, coloring is just such a simple way. You don't even have to draw anything. You just literally can get like a cool coloring book. There's a lot of pages on the interwebs. I also have some pages I can share with you, which we've made through Toketivity, and just color. Literally just, it's so meditative. And something fun I like to do with my wife is we will have 2 pages, and then we'll kind of listen to music. And then when the song changes, we will trade.
Oh.
And hers and she'll color on mine. And it's just so fun because it's like you can create like a collaborative piece.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that. It makes something that is usually kind of, an independent task, something you can do with other people. I like that.
Is it Ilana? Alana T, she says 420 drinks are my fave, then writing or dancing. Oh, I love that. Dancing and getting stoned is one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm also into the edibles and the drinks. Vision board. So I mentioned earlier that Toketivity was sort of born on a vision board, and the vision board on the right is the vision board that I made as I was coming up with the idea of Toketivity. I didn't know what I was doing, but I invited my friends over for dinner and Toketivity, like toking activities, toking creativity. And the vision board on the right is what I made. And so you can see like this is a collage. And so, collage is also a really fun medium because you literally just get magazines and you cut and you listen to music or an audiobook or something, and you look through the magazine and you just pull out what is inspiring to you and exciting to you. And so these are the things at the time on the right-hand side, what that was exciting and inspiring, because I'd only lived in Portland for a little over a year, and I was just trying to like try something new. So I think I have literally Portland, try something new here. Because I was like, again, just trying to get my head in the game as far as what am I doing with my life? I also felt called to pull out some of these things like, just open it. I don't know, like what am I opening? I don't know, but opening doors, opening relationships, like just open
possibilities,
Possibilities, exactly. Alive and intimate. That's actually the energy that I was seeking at the time. And that's also the energy that ended up kind of being the bones of Toketivity, was that energy of feeling alive and also being intimate, because we did smaller events, like 50 to 100 people. I also wrote on there, which of course, this is your art, so you're free to do whatever the hell you want, And I've also been known to find things on the internet, print them out, and then put them on there, including writing my own things out. So Canva is such a great tool for making stuff and finding stuff that you can use on the web and whatnot. Yep. The one on the left is from last year, so my 2022 vision board. And I was really, really, really wanting to do NFTs. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, and it's so funny because I put so much energy into it, attracting it, and I changed all of my passwords to have like the word NFT in it and stuff like that. And because I was just like, I gotta have this vibe. And I re-met somebody who I already knew who asked me to do the art for their project, and so that was the Thrice project, which is now out into the world. I really wanted to go on vacation because I hadn't been on one in a while. So I was like, and I ended up booking one. I didn't go on one in 2022, but I ended up booking one and went earlier this year to Hawaii, actually. And I really wanted to have like a deeper relationship with my kitchen because I was just, as I mentioned earlier, I'm like not a cook, but I'm like learning to make stuff. So, you know, and you know, any visuals, you know, I really liked the crystal vibe, so I kind of put that on there so it wasn't a word. And this is really again a fun medium, and what you can do is you can use Mod Podge. And that's a thing you can find at Michael's or on the interwebs or whatever, and it's just something you can paint underneath and on top of. It will kind of give you a little bit of a
Schlack.
Yeah, or you kind of see some of the like wrinkles in there. Again, releasing perfectionism, and just like it just makes it really easy to put stuff on. So
I think it's cool to make them to at different periods of your life, maybe even like every year, you know, and then you can be like, look at what I was, you know, manifesting this year. And look, I achieved those things. And look what I manifested this year and was, you know, hoping for. And look, I got that. And to kind of see the progression of, you know, what you've been asking and receiving in your life is pretty cool too.
It is really cool. And I have made a vision board every year. It's so fun. It's such a fun tradition that I've done every year since 2015. And so my new one is over here. I'll share it next year.
Yeah. What I like about this too is it's a way to upcycle. So I get so many like cannabis publications and I feel so horrible just like tossing them in the trash. But now it makes me feel like, oh, I could save them and use them for something like really cool and host my own, you know, vision board party.
You could. And that's such a great way to, you know, invite friends over, you know, whether it's the beginning of the year or quarterly. You can also do this for your business specifically. You can also do this for just one part of your life. Maybe you're just trying to work on your relationship. You know, maybe you make something together with your partner. You know, there's a ton of possibility there. William says he's working on a water-soluble formulation. Good job. That's awesome. And Lee says she loves to make digital art in Canva when she's high.
Need your help, Lisa. Lee.
We talked about writing. I'm curious if anybody here likes to write. I know that, let's see, one of you said that you did like to write, and I'm trying to remember who that was. But writing is really fun because, again, you could type, you can just use a journal. I like journals that don't have any lines personally, because then you can kind of do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
And again, whether you're writing fiction or nonfiction, it is just such a cool way to tap in. Cooking, we talked about that. I don't like to do it stoned, but some people do. And I just wanted to share a couple tools that I find incredibly inspiring. I like more feminine products. And so on the right, this is a My Bud Vase Aurora. And
Beautiful.
It's a woman-owned company. Doreen Sullivan is the owner, and she's amazing. And they have a ton of different styles, but sometimes even just having a really cool, fun cannabis tool can really spice things up and you know, when you're trying to get creative. Also, all the way on the left is Stonedware, another friend of mine who has like really cool pipes that are called geopipes. And she just makes really cool, really beautiful stuff. There's a Grinder from Pussyweed. They're based in New York. My favorite one-to-one edibles right now, they're wild gummies. And then, of course, your classic flower.
Looks delicious.
Yep. So, yeah, thank you so much. I'm excited to take any questions that you have, also continue the dialogue here. But if you want to get in touch with me on not any of the things I talked about, any curiosities, anything at all, my calendar is there, and that free consult will just get you access to a chat and to link up with my calendar. My websites are there. You can follow me on Instagram, Lisa Libra, and also find Toketivity at toketivity.com. We're also on all of the social media platforms.
That's cool. Thank you so much for this presentation. This has been really interesting, and, you know, just kind of opens up a lot of possibilities in my mind too. I don't think of myself as an artistic person, but I can find joy in all of those things, especially when I'm using cannabis. And I think that cannabis probably makes me more open to doing those things that I don't usually think I'm good at, and surprising myself. So I hope everybody tries something too. Can I ask you a couple questions?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So I think I know the answer, but out of all of those, what's your favorite way to express yourself when using cannabis?
My favorite way, it really depends on my mood, but I have a couple favorite ways, I guess I'll say. One of them is dancing. I really love to get a little stoned and kind of play DJ. I know we all kind of like got our Spotify playlists or whatever, but something happens inside, and then you're like, oh, this song or that song. And then, if you're getting stoned with friends, it's really fun because you can have this like collective playlist that like you just kind of add to. So I find that really, really fun. I do love vision boarding, which I showed you, but I like doing it in like a ritualistic style. So I usually just do it at the beginning of the year and say, oh, I'm going to do more later. And that doesn't happen. So it's fine. And painting. I love painting, when I can get like my stuff together and I make sure that I set everything up so I'm not making a mess. And I love, 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 love coloring. And so I had mentioned the exchanging, like where I draw a little bit or I color a little bit. My wife does too. We do that actually on our iPads. So there's like a fun app, and there's many, many apps out there that you can like draw on, and it's really cool because you can zoom in, right? You can't really do that on a piece of paper, but you can in the digital space, and I find that really to be super fun.
Yeah, and then you can also save it too when you're not, having all these canvases or different paint. You can save it on your computer and enjoy it forever too when you do like the digital art stuff you're talking about, like the coloring sheets and stuff.
Cool. Yeah, which I have before, and I've actually made it the background of my phone, which is really fun. And that kind of is really inspiring because you remember that that fun time that you had.
Yeah,
days ago or whatever.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about Toketivity. Can you tell us about like what kind of events you guys have, like where the chapters are, so that maybe people watching from like all over the country can like find out more and get involved in your guys' group?
Yes. Well, so yeah, toketivity.com. If you sign up, you can become a free member on our website, toketivity.com or toketivity.com/connect. We did have chapters pre-pandemic. We ended up winding down our chapter program during the pandemic as we had no idea what was going to happen. But we are like putting one foot in front of the other and emerging in cities, starting in North America. And really, it's where our community is feeling like they are calling this in the strongest way. So I just went down to Austin, and that happened to be an unofficial South by Southwest event, and that was so awesome because the timing was perfect because my friend was opening this consumption club there. And so we need spaces and we need partners. And so like when that kind of stuff happens, we do have this amazing community that's like ready to gather. And we need, in order to go somewhere, we have to have a space at least. So if you have a space out there, hit me up wherever you are. But we are working on some events in Chicago. I'm hoping to visit New York in the coming months. I know that there's just everybody's kind of like starting to come out of the woodwork themselves as we're all trying to figure out what we're doing post-pandemic. I'm in a conversation right now with an amazing cannabis leader in Vancouver, BC. And yeah, so I mean, if you're a community builder or a brand and you really would like to do something fun and awesome together, let me know, Lisa at toketivity.com, or you can hit us up on our website. And, as far as getting involved goes, we just got to go where the people are.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's so true. I think there's so many people that want to get active and want to belong to a group like this. But a lot of, number one, it's finding a space. And then sometimes it's just finding the person that wants to be the leader, and once you kind of step up and say, okay, I will find the space, I will get the invitation, I will bring it together. So you'll find that there's so many people that want to participate, and you have that support system. So sometimes it's just that one person kind of taking the initiative to get things together. But I think it's really great what you guys are doing. And I think, people want to get together and they want to be creative. And this is also a good way to meet like-minded people as well. Find people that are into the same things as you are.
Very much so. Very much so. We had a couple chapters in South Africa before the pandemic, cool. And that was the very last event that we had ever, right as stuff were shutting down, was in Johannesburg.
That's super cool.
It is cool.
Yeah.
And we have there are leaders everywhere. We're also looking for more women and allies who really want to support like the consumption movement. We have an amazing online platform that's a private membership that allows us to be able to kind of do what we do anywhere. And so we're very much looking to partner with brands and community builders to make magic happen.
That's wonderful. That's great. And I would definitely, like I said before, if you're interested in it, please take this as the calling to get, something together. And I also find that myself, that cannabis is like part of like what makes me feel so wonderful, but being part of the cannabis community enhances that and makes the cannabis work that much better in my life, so they go hand in hand, the community and the cannabis, and helping and growing and working with others is wonderful. So I love to see this. So if somebody wanted to start like their own, cannabis and creativity kind of like event, what would be like your suggestions? Like if somebody's like, okay, I have a house, I would like to invite people over and do something, like what would you say like their next steps are to make that manifest?
Well, it's so funny you're talking about this because I was really hoping by this point in Tokativity's life cycle that we would have a little something to get out there to the people. And I hope that happens over the next year. That would help encourage everybody to be able to gather and like kind of do it in like a super easy way. But I think one of the, a couple ideas I talked a little bit about, the vision boarding. I think it's a really fun, easy way to, it does take a couple of hours. So it's like kind of a good Sunday afternoon. You kind of like get stoned, invite your friends over. Maybe you have lunch, maybe you have dinner or whatever, and like get potluck. Some magazines. What's that?
Potluck.
A potluck. Exactly. Get some magazines. I really like this like harder board, because you're to put all of the magazine clippings on and stuff. It's a little bit easier and it's less flimsy. And so, buying your cannabis or asking your friends to bring their own or whatever, having some fun little things for people to play with. I have so many cannabis toys in my house that I've either been gifted or like that people, that I've just gotten along the way. So I think that's really fun. I think also coloring is so fun, and just listening to music is great. And one of my favorites is really putting little bedazzles on things like lighters.
I like that. It's something tangible and that you can use often, and like you said, people don't think they're creative, but organizing things is also a function of creativity.
That's true. That's super true.
Organizing the way that the diamonds or the bedazzles are on the lighter and creating like a pattern, that's a creative art form.
It is. I was just also thinking, if you're like really into organizing and you think your friends would want to come over, you could like have a get stoned and clean my garage party.
Let's be creative with this mess here, right?
Yeah.
I love it. There's a million ways to be creative. And cannabis
a million ways. Yes. And I'd love to know, like, if you end up making something or you found this inspiring, please hit me up on my Instagram, or I'm on LinkedIn too. I'm on all the things. I'd love to hear or see what you're making. Or if you really need some support around being inspired, or maybe you've got like a big project that you're like, gosh, I have no idea how to do this, but I have the idea. I do project management. I'm be happy to support you in any way I can. And I love having a beginning, middle, and end to projects. You know, like I am a classically trained artist, if you will, because I went to art school. But mostly what I learned was how to have a beginning, middle, and end to projects. And that's really where I think where people get stuck, because they get the idea, but they don't know how to, like, they get stuck in the middle part or even in the beginning part.
Yeah. That's a good point. Well, yeah, definitely. If anybody wants to, share your art, or if you need some help with the product management, which that makes a lot of sense, what you said about the beginning, middle, and end, because that's true. Sometimes, like tying this back to creativity, you'll smoke with your friends. You're like, I have all these great ideas, and you'll like have a list of all these great ideas, and it's like, okay, how are we going to implement them? So that's when we need someone like you. So
exactly. And really, just sometimes you need somebody to bounce ideas off of, like along the way, to make sure that you're going in the direction you want to go. You know, like, are you trying to do something that's fun? Or are you trying to donate your time? Or you're trying to make money? You know what I mean? Like, there are different avenues you can take with your creative ideas. And it's really important to kind of get clear about that in the beginning, so that you don't spend years of your life doing something that doesn't make money when you wanted it to originally, or what have you.
Yeah, that's true. Having a clear like intention. Am I doing this for me to make me feel better, or am I doing it, to make money? And then that there's different parameters. Well, this has been really great. Thank you so much for, putting together this wonderful presentation and sharing all your expertise. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody at Toketivity. I know you guys got a bunch of your members watching today. I hope that the information that we've shared today will help everybody become better informed cannabis consumers, and that this information will help them find creativity. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Lisa, for being our guest today.
Thank you so much. This has been so fun.
Yeah, and I look forward. We'll put together another series later this year, so we'll expand on this and talk about a different subject. So if you guys enjoyed this, definitely look out for the next webinar with Lisa and Toketivity. Until then, everyone be well, stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. I'll send you an email, okay?
Okay, that sounds great.
Bye. Bye.